everyone, hello, good evening. You're welcome to another Let's Talk There, Let's Discuss, where we talk about real practical matters that impact not just on our Christian faith, our Christian journey, and the way we would get from this world to the heaven and ensure that we're able to fulfill our potential. These sessions are meant to be purely discussion, highlighting our point of view as opposed to saying that's the right answer. It's meant to be a source of inspiration and a source of transformation rather than being a information dump. You're welcome. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, you're welcome. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and let us know your views about the topic. As we usually stress every week, the aim of these sessions is not to have one side of the story, but to get all sides of the matter so that we can all be enriched and blessed. Today, we'll be talking about a very important topic. And for those who attend regularly, those who follow us, thank you so much. God bless you, and God will continue to strengthen you in everything you do. Today, we will be talking about a very important topic, how to identify fake people. Before we start with the topic, I just want to make it clear to everyone that we're not judging people. The Bible says we need to be able to see danger ahead. They say the wise man sees danger ahead and hides himself. Let's not take it as Box Phrase is now saying some people, or Emmanuel is saying some people are fake, some people are not. No, we need to understand some of the behaviors, understand what's going on, talk about it richly so that we can all be blessed and we can watch out for things we need to watch out for. There is no need trying to, how will I call it, to swing to an extreme in terms of position. Please follow through, follow all our conversations, and don't just pick one part of it, and God will bless you. You're welcome, everyone. Um, let's talk about the topic, how to identify fake people. I think I'll start by asking for feedback from those who are online watching this currently, that how would you identify who is a fake person? Let's start from there. Who do you think is a fake person? And I would like to get you know responses from yourselves. Who is a fake person? In our opinion, who do you think we can classify as a fake person? I would like to get some of our thoughts on this matter. Who is a fake person? We can't talk about how to identify a fake person if we don't know or define or cannot define who a fake person is. I would like to get some of our chats. Let's define who is a fake person, who is not. Let's just, to be nice, to get some thoughts from us as to who's a fake person, who's not a fake person in our own experience. I think everyone's quiet now. I know it takes maybe 2 minutes for the software to update, but I'd like to get all the views. So, oh, thanks. Ngozi started, which is quite exciting. She said, people who don't act as their natural self but try to imitate others. I like that. I like that. And anyone else, it's like she saw my notes because that was what I wrote, almost word for word. People who don't act their natural self and try and imitate others. Is there anyone else who has thoughts around this? That what's the definition of a fake person? Okay, I'll still hold on just for maybe 30 seconds, just in case someone's typing and it's taking a few minutes. The definition we have today is people who do not act as their natural self but try and imitate others as a fake person. And we now need to ask, why is it such a problem or a challenge that we need to be aware of people like this? Is there any consequence? Is there any reason why we need to be aware of people who are not acting as their selves, natural self, and are trying to imitate others? I want to get some views as well on this topic. I want it to be more discursive rather than me giving my opinions. So we now understand that people who don't act their natural self but try to imitate others can be referred to as, being fake. But why is this a problem, and why do we need to be aware of things like this, or why do we need to identify people like this? Yeah, so that's another question. I'm sure everyone will say, oh, why is Emmanuel just asking questions today? I want us to all participate today. Why? So we have the definition of people who don't act as their natural self, but try to imitate others. Whilst we're waiting for the comments to come in, I'll tell us a story which I believe should emphasize why this is such an important topic and why we need to understand it so that we can be on the watch out or the lookout for people like this, not just from not that we're judging or anyone, but we just from a place of knowledge, human relationship, and being able to understand relationships and manage relationships effectively. There was this man who, for many years, he was in the dating game, trying to understand what the will of God was for him in terms of a wife. And he did a lot of prayers. He did what everyone needs to do. He also sowed seed in the life of different ministers. He encouraged people. He was active in the youths. He was doing everything that needs to be done. And when he then saw a lady that he liked, and he decided to go ahead with the relationship and marry her. So today's topic is how to identify fake people. And I'm giving away the number one thing. The number one thing is you would always see the warning signs. You would always see the warning signs. But let's continue on this story. The man married this lady. It was obvious to everyone else that the lady wasn't all she was pretending to be. She was pretending to be from a very affluent home, pretending to be in a position, financial position she wasn't in, and things like that. This man married her, and they lived not happily ever after, because the first challenge came. He had saved some money in order to buy a piece of land and build a house to ensure that they don't have to pay rent or anything like that going forward, and as an investment for old age. This lady then felt, so he did what we call is it contributions, or some people call it cooperative, contributions, or some people call it susu. He did one for many years, and When it was his turn to collect the money, he was so happy that he would have the money to now build that house, to buy the land and build the house so that he and the wife can move into the house and be in a wonderful situation whereby they are not paying rent and they have to live life in a more in, in a wonderful way, and at least rent comes out of their annual income. Okay, there's another contribution here before I continue that story. So Ali said, people who look friendly but hide their true intentions. I agree. I agree. That's a good definition of people who are fake. This man, when it was his turn to collect his contribution, he has saved, I think it was for 4 years of hard work, diligence, saving money, putting money aside. The wife now told him that no, you cannot use the money to build a house. We need to use the money to rent a flat in the like city center in a place where that looks nice because a lot of our friends live there and there's the expectation that that's where they should be living. She told him that his pretty much life savings should not be used for something that will benefit both, that will benefit the family for years to come, that he needed to spend the money on a flashy, to rent a flashy apartment and buy a flashy car so that she can live a life that befits what she thinks she should be worth. And she made a lot of trouble with the husband. He had to then, he then made the decision after it got so troublesome. And at the end of the day, wise man advised him that, look, if you go ahead and buy this house and land, and in future, who is it going to benefit? It's the two of you. And if you don't, who's going to suffer? The two of you. So continue with that thing. And that's the challenge whereby we need to identify fake people and fake intention so that we can quickly nip it in the bud. The man unwisely followed the advice, which seemed wise at that time. He used 4 years of savings to buy a flashy car and got a flashy apartment at the city center for he and the wife to live. He did that instead of investing on what he wanted to do. In a few years' time, to cut long story short, he lost his job. Um, Things became hard. They couldn't afford the rent of the flashy apartments. After a while, the flashy car developed faults, and I can't even remember if they sold it or if they had to hand it back in or something, or the car just completely broke and became useless. But what happened next was very interesting. The man was suffering from lack of investing in anything, that used the money for flashy things. And when he lost his job and was unable to secure things, what made matters worse was that the wife who was telling him that let us buy these flashy things felt that he was now below her standard because he was unable to give her the things that would make her live up to the way she was used to living. I call it the fake people syndrome. The fake people syndrome was so much in her that even though no nobody was looking at her, she felt she had to be looking good and be on top. Eventually, she left the guy and told him she could no longer stay with him and went off with someone else. And the rest is history. The man It took a couple of years. He recovered slowly, very painfully. He learned his lessons that you do not indulge someone with a fake person syndrome, but rather you stand your ground. Because when the chips are down, just as Yose said, people who don't act their natural self and try to imitate others will keep on imitating others. They keep on following others. It just doesn't stop. You can't satisfy those sort of situation. And like Ali said, that people who look friendly but hide their true intentions. Her true intentions was not to be there for the man. It was come rain, come shine. Come rain, she was away. Come shine, she was there. That might be an extreme example, but I used that story to emphasize that there is something called the fake people syndrome, where people try and pretend to be somebody else. They pretend that they've attained a station where they haven't, and it's all around us. You see some people who I remember many years ago, someone who said, I'm very choosy with the things I wear, and he wasn't really putting on anything that special. So there are a lot of people with that syndrome, and God would help us because we need to identify people like that. One of the first things I said is they're always warning signs because the things they say or how they define themselves, it's a bit exaggerated. There's a need for us to listen to those exaggerations. So whether it's in courtship for those of you us for those of you who will be looking to settle down with someone, try and understand if the person is exaggerating or has that fake person syndrome. Because what he ends up with is they end up crashing the whole house, they end up crashing the whole your whole future, hope, everything because they are not themselves, which is an anti-Christian spirit. God will help us. The man learned to his disappointment that that particular syndrome, fake person syndrome, most times is uncurable. And if you are in a relationship or experiencing things with someone like that, it's time to begin to pray that God helps you. I've seen someone who sold his whole house and properties and used it to bet. I've seen, and the reason for betting, so people would say, no, betting is greed and things like that. Yes, it's greed, but most times, if you examine the motive for some people, it's not the greed, but the desire to acquire a lot of money in order to show off or to show that they are at a different level. I've seen a lot of people like that. That's why some people would live above their means. Some people would do things which are not convenient. Some people even do things which they know are morally incorrect, but they need to satisfy that syndrome. God will help us get that out. And so that's the first point, that you see the warning signs, you see them exaggerating, you see. Then the second point is you notice that they are not consistent on details. They will tell you A, then when you ask them the next day, the A has become B, and if you ask further, the B now becomes C, and if you press, the C becomes D. So there's just no stopping them. They are not consistent on details. It's all about the act of changing the story, changing the situation. And the third point is everybody else is to blame but themselves. They don't accept responsibility. They feel that it's not their fault, it's not their problem, it's the situation. And they have this good optimism without any tangible thing to back it up. So I want, we have just a few minutes more. Just want people to share, how do you think you would identify a fake person, or how have you identified fake people in the past? Or do you have any stories or damage that fake people have caused or created? I would like to get some views from people. And I hate to say this, but at times the fake people syndrome afflicts believers as well. There's some people who, there are a lot of examples in the Bible where there was a group of people who called it sons of prophets, and they went around. Once they were able to do a bit of casting out, they now felt they were like Paul, and they went around and they got dealt with. Religion or belief doesn't change this. This is one of the failings of the flesh, the fake person syndrome, and God will help us to overcome it. I want to get a few thoughts from people. How do you identify people with a fake person syndrome? Or are there any cures for it? Or is there any example? I would like to get a few contributions from us all, so that we can all discuss it as we wind down on today. And if this has been helpful, please let us know. Or if you want us to discuss it more, let us know as well, so that we can deliberate more on it. We'd like to get a few comments from people. How have you, do you have any examples? How do you identify it? What do you do when you identify it? Are there any stories that you have to share? Please type it in. And as you're typing it in, I just want to share with us as well that our Salvation Anthem song will be released on the 8th. Yeah, it's now 8th of March. Due to technical hitches, we had to postpone. It's coming on the 8th of March. It's based on an outreach. It's going to be very powerful. It's one of the very few songs I've seen that the outreach wasn't just photoshopped on it. It was a real outreach program. And there were a lot of people there, and there were signs, wonders, testimony. I'm sure you see a few familiar faces in there in terms of the team, Gateway City. They organized this some time ago, and the song is actually coming out. Few people who have listened to it said, wow, this tune is catchy. And some people have said they've been blessed. Some people said from nowhere, the song just keeps, running in their head. So mark the date, 8th of March, and you'll see us do a lot of promotion about it over the next few weeks. Wow, it seems there's no contribution. No one's saying anything. Okay, I'll begin to wrap up. So I'll say how to identify fake people is to understand your definition of a fake person or someone with a fake person syndrome. And like I said, we are not sitting in judgment of anyone, because if you call someone a fake person, there's a possibility someone else is calling you a fake person. But we're talking about the fake person syndrome. The first thing is you need to define what that is to you. Some people have different definitions of it. We had two different definitions which were aligned today. People who try to imitate others, people who look friendly but hide their true intentions. Those are definitions. You need to understand what are your definitions Two, you need to understand the warning signs. You see the warning signs, and the warning signs include the details not adding up. They'll tell you A today, tomorrow is B. When you press further, it's C, is D, E. It doesn't stop with them. And third, it's not them. It's not, they don't, it's not them at all. They'll tell you it's not about me, it's about this. And they might even blame you for their situation if you stay long enough around them or long in conversation with them. Let us be mindful of people with the fake person syndrome, especially when it relates to um, business dealings. You need to ensure that your partners have the right fruit of the spirit, because some of the things which causes a lot of pain is when you come in close contact or have dealings with people like that or investments with people like that. It could lead to a lot of pain in future. We need to be mindful as well for those in courtship. Look out, because that might end up. I know a friend personally who was in a situation where the wife bought a lot of gold using monies they didn't have. I know a female friend whose husband sold the whole house and placed it on betting and things like that in order to make a lot of money, and lost the money, lost everything. We need to be careful of people who exhibit things like this and make sure we are on the guard. We need to pray for them as well so that their behavior or the character doesn't lead to a lot of bad sort of disappointments in the future. Thank you, everyone. It's been a bit quiet. I was expecting a few contributions, but thank you for listening. I'll leave us with the teaser for Salvation Anthem until next week, where we talk about another topic. God bless you. Make sure you don't allow the fake people with fake, you know, person syndrome, take undue advantage of you. God bless you. Have a great week. Love you all. Bye. Um,